Hi everybody and welcome back, it's Marie here and this is a process video for Lottie Loves Paper, so it counts as an advertisement. Now I am using the new Simple Stories Cozy Days collection. That's what my DT pack is this time, and I absolutely love this collection. Autumn is definitely one of my favourite times of the year, so I couldn't wait to get stuck in. I've pulled out quite a few old photographs that I've been waiting to scrap for quite a while, that I haven't quite found the right papers for, and some of these Simple Stories ones are absolutely perfect. So I'm scrapping this picture of my husband and my son from a good few years ago, and it's the cutest photograph because I got them to stand on a log while we were out walking one day, and my son decided just at the very moment that I was taking the photograph to stick his tongue out, and he doesn't do that very often, so I had to document this. So I've gone with a white background, as always. I do like my white backgrounds, and I've also gone with torn corners of the grey paper and that spotty blue, kind of layered up over the corners, and you've just seen me kind of tear those up and place them across the top left and the bottom right. I'm now kind of playing around with the tags. Now these tags are from one full sheet of 12 by 12, which I've already cut up. And it's actually a double-sided sheet, so there's tags on both sides, so you can have it either way around. So I've played around with a few there, and my original idea was to have a selection of tags running across the middle and the photograph in the centre. Now it changes from that quite a lot as we go through, and as I start playing around with the ephemera and all the bits and pieces that come with the collection. So I've got those tags there, and I decide, no, it's not quite going to work. So then I thought, right, I'll start playing around with the bits and pieces. I've got the cardstock stickers, I've got the chipboard, and I've also got, I think there's 2 packets of ephemera with this, and I've got both packets of ephemera. My opinion is you can never have too much ephemera, so I always get extra. But I do think there were 2 different ones. And then this is the pack of chipboard frames that comes as part of the collection. And I think you get 6 frames in the pack. Now they're quite large, and I questioned for a minute whether I'm going to swap photographs, because the photograph I've got doesn't fit in this frame, but the frame itself looked perfect on the layout, so I decided I would just get a little bit creative with how I was going to fit the photograph within that frame. So I start by layering up the photograph on some pieces of cardstock. So I've got a grey, a blue, and I think I've got a green as well. And then I just pull out this piece of vellum from my stash. It's a piece I've had for a while, and it's got different coloured crosses on. The crosses happen to match with the colours of the collection, so it was absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wonky layer up these pieces of cardstock behind my photo. I'm then going to position it in the frame and then use the vellum to sort of fill in the gaps so it doesn't look like it's, and in the end it doesn't look wrong at all, it just looks, I don't know, it looks absolutely, I really like the way it looks in the end. So that, yes, there is a gap at the top of the photograph and at the bottom of the photograph, but because I filled it in with that vellum, it doesn't look funny, or I don't think it does anyway. So I've chopped down the photograph so that it doesn't stick out the sides. I felt that made it look like it really didn't fit. So I've chopped the side of the photograph, and I'm now just sticking double-sided sticky across the back of the photo and the bits of the frame that you can still see, so that I can stick my vellum on. And then I'm going to, I just have to trim this down a little bit. I've gone a bit wonky on there. And then to me that looks fab, and I love the way it looks, and I think the frames are gorgeous. So before I go any further, I decide I'm going to stick down these corners, because I know what I'm like, and I'll position loads of ephemera across these corners. However I end up doing it, I knew I was going to end up putting lots of pieces onto the layout and then ended up needing to move them. And then you can never quite get them back in the same position. So I've learnt from that mistake in the past, and now I'm just sticking. So I'm sticking these down. Now I know I'm definitely happy with those and where they're going. So they're getting stuck down. I love a bit a torn edge or 2. I don't do tearing very often, but when I do, I seem to go through a bit of a phase of it and do it on quite a few layouts, and then I don't do it for ages. So maybe these layouts will be quite a few that have some torn edges on. So I'm just playing around now with the ephemera. I've got that lovely little bit of bunting at the top. I've got a little fox and a couple of squirrels, and obviously there's that, I think it's a raccoon on the frame as well. I realise we don't necessarily get raccoons in this country, but it's so cute, I don't really mind. So I've picked out the chipboard hearts in the blues and the greys from the chipboard pieces, and now I'm going to start going through the ephemera. Now there's absolutely tons of ephemera, like I said. I'm sure there's 2 packs. I think there might be like a journaling pack and then an icon type pack. I can't exactly remember, but there's lots and lots of pieces to choose from. The enamel dots that you can see at the side there, they are from the Simple Stories collection, but the little gold hearts, I think they are Jen Hadfield. I think they might be the Avenue, from the Avenue collection, which is a Pebbles collection. And I just wanted something extra sparkly. I love little hearts all over, so I just wanted some extra little bits to pop in. So I'm just playing around with bits of ephemera now. I think that brolly works brilliantly, exactly the right colour. And I think what I'm now going for is a kind of cascade effect across the middle of the page, like diagonally across the centre of the page, to connect the 2 halves of the page together. So at the moment I'm just tucking in lots of little bits around that photo. I've got a little kind of journaling tag at the bottom, and I found the word together, so I thought that fit beautifully. I've got that little tag there in the middle, that little flag that says Autumn Days. Now I'm playing around with a couple of perspectives as well from Bramble Fox, because these are just again, they just fit with the collection so beautifully. So I'm going to put a couple of leaves on there, and I think that's all that makes it on in the end of those 2 leaves. I do play around with some of the bits and pieces, but then I think I changed my mind. So I found a scarf as well that's going on. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just keep kind of going back to all the different pieces of ephemera that I've got to see if there's anything else that fits, that sparks my interest. Now I do eventually find space for a couple of these tags, so I put a green one and a blue one, and I tuck those in behind that photograph, again just to tie a little bit more green in, because I did put some green around the side of the around the edges of the photograph, and I've got that little green tag there as well, and there is green in the background of the photo, so a little bit of green I thought looked really nice. I did wonder about the walking boots, which is one of the ephemera pieces, but then I decided that it just didn't quite, they were a bit too big. Now I do stick that bunting down for now, and in the end it does come off. I just decided in the end it's too heavy up at the top, and I wanted it, I didn't want it there. So I'm just at the moment going around and pulling, picking up the bits of the cardstock ephemera pieces, die cut ones, and sticking those down with wet glue. And pulling the sticky back off the back of the chipboard pieces. Now I do go back in when the video is finished filming, and I do stick them down with a bit of extra wet glue, because I do find that chipboard is the thing. If anything's going to fall off, it's chipboard. So I do go back in and just add an extra little bit of wet glue to make sure that it stays in place. Now I'm just sticking these tags down, making sure I get the positioning right, because it's important now that they have to fit correctly based on where everything else is, because I've already stuck everything else down. So I'm just being really careful to stick those down in the right place, and make sure I get all my layering correct. So I'm just going to press that down onto the tag, and then put a little bit of extra tape on the back of the tag, just to make sure everything's in the right place. Now I'm going to play around now. I think I've just got a few more bits and pieces too. I think everything's stuck now. I do play around with some of these leaves. I knew I wanted to tuck some of them in somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where. But I do come back to those in a second. But I'm just going to pop some of those little gold hearts on at various points around the layout. I do change around a few times, move them around. But I love this kind of cascade down the middle of ephemera. I think it looks really nice. So I decided to start tucking in some leaves. I'm going to tuck some in at the top there, and that's when I decide that that piece of bunting is just too big. It's not going to work, because it's too heavy up at the top. So I decide to peel that off, save that for another layout, and then move my leaves around and just play around with the positioning of those again, and just make sure that it's kind of all balanced nicely. And that's about it for my page today. So I think I might put just a couple of extra bits and pieces on. And I think that's about it. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed watching my process for this layout. And keep your eyes out for lots more layouts coming with this collection. Because like I say, I've got lots of autumn photographs to scrap. and autumn is one of my favourite months, so I can't wait to get stuck in again with this collection. So thanks for watching, thanks for joining me, and bye for now.